look at a labyrinth, it looks so complicated that most people think, well, gee, we could never make one of those or put one of those in our school or do something because it would be very difficult and time-consuming. So my purpose really is to explain to people the few little bits of geometry and tools and techniques that will allow them to build these easily so that they can, in fact, get out there somewhere, that there will be as many people as possible building them and putting them in these places, and that in that way they will proliferate as rapidly as possible. This is that process in which you start with a cross, and in the case of a 7-circuit labyrinth, with one corner and then a dot. And this, as you can see, is a rectangular formation if you make it with the cross with equal arms. And then you begin to connect the elements together. And the very first one that you connect will form the center of the labyrinth. That's going to end up being the center of the labyrinth. And depending on which direction you make that first line, you'll have either a left-handed or a right-handed labyrinth. In this case, since we're going to the right, this is the center, and the cross is to the left of center, and therefore it will become a left-handed labyrinth, and when we're finished, the labyrinth's first turn will be to the left. If instead you drew this first line this direction, then the center would be here and the cross would be to the right of center, and it would be a right-handed labyrinth, and your first turn would be to the right. So after you begin with the first one, you just subsequently take each additional element, just take the next one on the left, and you connect it with the next one on the right, and you keep going around, and when you're finished, you will have the 7-circuit labyrinth. Now, it's not clear to the average person just looking at a 7-circuit labyrinth that there's a square in the middle of this labyrinth because it's made out of rounded lines. But that square is the key to not only the geometry but to laying out the labyrinth.
This is what's called the seed technique for drawing a labyrinth. First, we draw a cross. Next, we draw right angles in each of the quadrants of the cross. After we've drawn the angles, then we put a dot in each quadrant. Now, this is the only point in drawing a labyrinth with the seed technique where you need to make a decision, because either you can go from the center, the top of the cross, to the right or to the left, and that'll determine whether, when you enter the labyrinth, whether you go to the left or the right. So I'm going to start here at the top of the cross, and I'm going across to the top of this first angle. Then I move back to the top of the angle on the left, coming over to the dot. I move back to the dot, come around and pick up the bottom of the angle I first connected with. I move over here to the end of this angle on the left and come around and meet with the center of the cross. Moving to the left, I pick up the end of the cross here. I come around and I meet to the angle here. Moving over to the left again, I pick up the angle and I end with the dot. Coming to the left, I pick up the dot, come around and end on an angle, and finally starting on the angle, we go all the way around and end at the base of the cross. So again, we start by making a cross, then placing 4 angles in to the quadrants, and we place a dot in each quadrant, and then starting at the top of the cross, you can go to the right or to the left, and then follow through. I went from the left to the right here, so then again, left to the right, left to the right, left to the right, and continuing that process, we make a 7th circuit labyrinth.
I'm teaching other people how to build rope labyrinths because it uses up no resources at all. It's completely reusable. You lay a rope down, and when you're done, you pick it up, and you can use it again next time. So there's literally no cost other than original purchase of the rope itself. So it makes it accessible. And putting a rope labyrinth up is so easy and takes so little time that it ought to be a way that anyone could walk labyrinths. I mean, schools could do it during the day and walk it for a single class, or you can do it in the evening for a single meeting for just a couple of hours and then take it down again.
During the medieval period, the intricate new labyrinth pattern at the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Chartres, France, captured everyone's imagination, and it became the other main labyrinth pattern. The Chartres pattern has 11 paths, 4 quadrants, and many concentric full circles, a 6-petal center, and 112 lunations in a halo around its perimeter.
Chartres Cathedral is one of the most magnificent examples of the use of sacred geometry to create an enclosed space, a temple, that has within it the order of the cosmos. I would have to call it a 3-dimensional cosmological mandala. A cosmological mandala, to be a valid one, has to hold within it the geometry that generated the universe, these harmonic vibrations that were the first thing created as the universe started to unfold. All of those proportions, the square root of 2, the 1 to square root of 2 relationship, the 1 to square root of 3, the 1 to square root of 5, the golden mean, these 4 building blocks of the universe that we know and live in, are right there guiding all the segments of the growth. You're getting taught how the universe was created. And that takes you back to the creation and the creator. And it works as a temple because one of the metaphors we use in sacred architecture, sacred geometry, is the divine looks at this, sees that there's all the root harmonies that created the universe, and says, oh, I recognize myself, and comes and lives, and it becomes an abode of the divine, which is what a temple is supposed to be. And then you put a labyrinth on the floor of it as well, which is a microcosm of that cosmological mandala, and you can actually walk the path, and by walking the path, your body is moving through and experiencing all of those patterns that create and sustain life.
It was adopted for specifically religious use when used in a cathedral. The church itself, because God was the creator and created everything, was a virtual encyclopedia of everything that existed. It was called the City of God, and it represented heaven on earth. And in the labyrinth in Chartres Cathedral, it's the most elegant expression of this, where it represents all of creation, and by walking it puts us in touch with that creation. So it represents both the path to the creation itself and an expression of the overall goal that we're seeking.